Kung Lao. Kung Lao. Round 1, fight. Round 1, fight.
My last long form video, so let's go out with a bang. Requested by my buddy Viper, so that means the poll will be safe for next time. Liu Kang Light here is a Shaolin monk with a penchant for violence and deadly headwear. Debuting in MK2 as Liu Kang's fellow White Lotus, his iconic razor-sharp hat has made him a recognizable character in gaming. Even now, 30 years later, he's still a staple in the franchise's roster. With the newest installment focusing more on Lao, that means we have more to compare. Before I get into all that, I'd like to remind you to subscribe if you enjoy the content. I hope to reach 23,000 subs in honor of 2023. It's free, you can always reconsider. For now, let's get into the story of the Laos.
They will not reach the grotto. It is protected by powerful magic, the deadliest traps. I am sure our counterparts from your era are already dealing with them.
The first Lao to show up in the story is during the time displacement. From the sand nados of time, out walks MK9's Kung Lao. This version agrees to side with Kotal Khan and is tasked with defeating Kronika. In the dedicated chapter between the Shaolin monks, Liu Kang and Kung Lao agree to return to the Wuxi Academy. There they find the remains of their fellow monks. The murderers turn out to be Scorpion and Revenant Jade. They scuffle before entering the grotto beneath the academy. Then the plot twist of this chapter reveals that there is also a Revenant Kung Lao, alongside Revenant Liu Kang. The past and future clash before Geras shows up to stop the fight. This leads to a nasty whipping where Geras has to call his mommy Kronika to help. In the end, the bros are defeated through cheating. After this, Kung Lao and Liu Kang go off to rescue Kotal Khan and non-Revenant Jade. They meet up with their homegirl Katana and help her defeat Xiao Jobber. From here on out, Kung Lao helps the heroes on Charon's fleet and eventually raids Kronika's keep. The trio is composed of Katana, Kung Lao, and Fire God Liu Kang. Since Kronika resets the clock a few hundred times, Dung Lao's fate is left ambiguous. In the Aftermath DLC though, he isn't at his best. First he gets slammed by Shao Kahn or Sindel, depending on who you choose. They throw his hat overboard, then toss him into the sea of blood. He's left to drown or forever float. Later his Revenant version fights the evil couple and Shang Tsung. The Revenant is killed by Tsung with another neck snap. Kung Lao just cannot catch a break. This dude's neck has been broken more times than Kotal's back.
My back!
Kung Lao gets his lick back in his tower ending though. Using the hourglass, he reverses the loss of his ancestor. In this timeline, the great Kung Lao defeated Goro. This inspires millions to join the White Lotus, in turn inspiring Outworld rebels to overthrow Shao Kahn. The realms make peace with Kung Lao as the Grand Lord keeping said peace. He ends this with a tease against Liu Kang. Anyway, this finishes his story at 11, meaning we can now move on to the Fire Daddy's timeline.
Incompetent.
I actually lied to you all, as Kung Lao's first appearance in this timeline is not in MK1. It's actually in Liu Kang's Aftermath ending. Here we see Lord Liu Kang approach the Great Kung Lao. In case you didn't know, the Kung Lao in the other games is the reincarnation of this dude. The Great Kung Lao was one of the original champions that lost to Goro. In this cutscene, we see Liu Kang explain to Kung Lao that he is now Earthrealm's champion. We can move about 500 years into the future where we meet the Kung Lao we are all used to, arrogant and full of hat tricks. It's revealed here is where Kung Lao got the idea for his weapon, first by tossing a straw hat and doing no damage, then going for the circular blade thing. After this, Liu Kang reveals himself to the duo and says that they are ready for their next assignment, fighting for Earthrealm in Mortal Kombat. While the Fire God runs out to recruit more goofies, Kung Lao trains at the Wuxi Academy. Here's where he creates the iconic weapon with the help of the monks. Raiden disagrees with the practicality of the hat before Kung Lao shows the lethality. Raiden then worries it is too effective. More training is shown before the four champions spar for the title of Earthrealm's official champion. Raiden is up and manages to defeat both Cage and Kenshi. The two farmer friends rematch, and this time Kung Lao loses his edge. Raiden wins and is chosen as Earthrealm's champion. Nevertheless, the four fighters and their chaperone venture to Outworld to participate in the tournament. Kung Lao takes a spectator role and earns a little more spotlight when the trio of him, Cage, and Kenshi are tasked with capturing Shang Tsung. They do their things out here, fight some resurgence, and not understand movie references.
Get away from her, you bitch. Excuse me? You know, the movie. Tiny girl, ginormous alien. Ripley! No?
While Kenshi gets his eyes gouged out, Kung Lao is doing something. This leads to the capture and eventual release. Soon they are joined by Astra and Reptile, tasked with capturing Quan Chi instead of Shang Zesty. After capturing the now bleached Chi and defeating Ermac, the crew used the cover of the festival to escape back home to Earthrealm. From here on out, Kung Lao is relegated to more of a background character. He appears ready to fight here in the Sub-Zero chapter and seems impressed with Johnny Cage's drone. We can assume that this version of Kung Lao appears if you choose him as your character in the final fight. You fight up the tower and then get saved by Liu Kang. In the final cutscene, Kung Lao is here laughing it up with the rest of the bros. He's offered a part in Cage's movies but declines it so he and Raiden can train new initiates at the Wu Shi. This relates to Lao's tower ending where he tries to train a young Shujinko single-handedly. This leads to Shujinko growing an immense ego and turning on his mentors. Liu Kang clears his mind and removes his powers, leaving him as a new initiate yet again. From this, Kung Lao learns an important lesson on humility. Shujinko could have been what Kung Lao turned into had he not learned to control his hubris. This tower ending is one of the better ones, even if it doesn't have that much of an effect on the whole story. From this, we can move on to the look of the Laos. Since the main version of Kung Lao is his Revenant look, that means more of his skins revolve around the gray skin. In the Revenant version, Lao has 3 variations with a bunch of color schemes. The color schemes usually follow different armor sets, so the gray skin stays. Even then, some of these skins are just interesting. Just shoulder pads. Yeah, you can get split in half, but sure, protect your traps. But these skins are just not my favorite. The only good detail I like is that the Revenant's hat has jagged edges similar to a buzzsaw. That means that Kungi is more brutal than his past version. Speaking of the sore neck, he has more skins that dog the gray outfits. This skin alone is better than anything else Kung Lao could wear. It's based off his MK2 outfit, earning the nostalgia point. Another classic skin is his dual strip robe with a few color variations. Not my favorite, but I can see the effort. This next outfit is similar but has a closed fit, so Kung Lao puts them pecs away. This single outfit has a lot more color variations, almost double than the other ones. The final outfit is this robe set that reflects his Shaolin past. This orange one especially mimics the monk scene in game. I have a few and I like the simplicity, but we're not done yet. Following the Revenant armor look, Kung Lao will have scaly skin, reminiscent of Reptile and Baraka's Killer Croc skin. The weirdest skin so far is this mix of Revenant and past to make this. Definitely a cursed outfit. The gear here revolves around the hat, gauntlets, and the little emblem hanging off his belt. This little emblem has some nice looks for being such a small piece. These gory bits are the best, even though I don't know what viscera this is supposed to be. The gauntlets have a nice variety, some including hand wraps. You can even have them off if you feel so inclined. But the best item is obviously the hat. The variety here is insane. You can have your smooth razor edges, or even the buzzsaw edges. There are unique blades with 3 pieces, or these dagger points sticking out. Overall, Kung Lao is a unique wardrobe that allows every player to have a unique fit. Let's check out the modern Lao. Since Kung Lao is alive and luckily avoids Shao Kahn, for now anyway, the outfits are a little more bare. What he lacks in outfits, he makes up for in colors. He has about 4 main outfits with a bunch of color variations. From simple robe recolors to whole new pieces, Kung Lao has it all. Obviously I don't own them all, so enjoyed the slideshow. Some of these outfits show Kung Lao sporting arm tats, these vampiric outfits show Lao repping Returnus, and yearning for blood. That's it for now, but since the game is new, there are more outfits to come. The gear this time is just the hat with a lack of buzzsaw blades. The closest thing is this blade that would suck to get hit with counterclockwise. The other hats have unique patterns with the blades overlapping each other. Other than ribbon variations, that's enough of the gear. The Kameo Kung Lao has outfits referencing his MK2 outfit with the 2-strip robe and the apron overlay. Since Kameos lack almost everything, that means we can move on to the actual hat tricks. With the main weapon being a circular blade, the combos here do not utilize the hat that much. Kung Lao relies more on his hands and straight. His 3-hit combos are unique as they have some strange traits. This combo changes lanes and Kung Lao will switch sides. It's a nice move to really mindfuck the opponent. The other combos are long strings and involve the same button inputs. My favorite one is Kung Tang because it involves 3 buttons and good timing in exchange for some great damage. The kick adds insult to injury. The few 3-hit combos that involve the hat are also pretty strong. The hat rebounds are flashy, fitting perfectly for the prideful monk. The rest of the moves are smaller versions of these main ones, but still more than Sub-Zero. Poor guy has not been good since MKX. Anyway, Kung Lao's grabs involve the hat and a whole lot of punches. The forward grab starts with the spinning hat and Lao pushing them into it while breaking the hell out of their ribs. The backwards grab reminds me of a good old-fashioned spanking, but instead of discipline, it's just head trauma. Let's now move on to the special moves. The classic hat throw stays, but this time you can curve the hat up and down. The next move is called Z-Hat. hat where Kung Lao will order the hat to zing in and out of the opponent. It makes a Z, so who would have thought. Amplified, it does either more damage or is unblockable. I haven't figured it out yet. The next move is Vortex, which involves Kung Lao pulling a Ninjago and causing Devora to fly up. Amplified, it sends the Vortex out and allows Kung Lao to pull a half-assed aerial combo. You can even delay the move, but you end up just looking silly. The next move is the Shaolin Drop, which is a simple kick. Amplified, it becomes a super combo where the ribs are again annihilated. Even the jaw is cracked. Teleport is a move that has 4 different variations despite being a simple traversal move. There are hat swipes, kicks, grabs, and this crazy drill move. The amplification seems to make the move unavoidable, and you can also delay the teleport. Moving on to the next set of moves, Spin is a weaker version of Vortex that simply pushes back the opponent. Amplified, it pushes forward and juggles them around for a little bit. Possessed Hat is a move that changes the original hat toss and makes it run through a ziggly line. Amplified, it sends another hidden hat that runs an opposite track. Now this next move is a bit complicated, so bear with me. So essentially the hat is wound up and sent off to the opponent, but you can guide it to send it in the right direction. Amplifying it, you can hold it in the air to be as accurate as possible. Good luck pulling this off mid-match. This orbiting hat moves around the opponent like a buzzard before launching right into them. Powered up, it circles around for a bit longer. Spiritual Guidance is another stance that gives Kung Lao 4 more moves to bully their opponent with. The first one is this energy ball toss that sends the opponent flying with a chance to be a crushing blow. This energy spike bounces them up and can be adjusted for range. The final move is this hit that pushes them into the air for a bit. Quite the stance, thanks Kung Lao Sr. The final move is this orbiting hat variation that changes the orbit from the enemy to the player. It allows you to have a mini shield that protects you from any move they can pull off. Amplified, it makes the hat spin faster, but doing the input again increases the range, meaning you can have 2 hats spinning around you covering most of the screen. If that isn't OP, I don't know what is. Lastly, the fatal blow begins with a series of punches followed by a throat slit. Then the opponent is ping-ponged between spinning blades. It ends with a kick to the ground. Whew, quite the yap sesh, but we have finally finished this segment, meaning we can move on to MK1. He is way less complicated there, so it'll be a much needed break. New timeline, new me. Kung Lao has way less moves in this installment, which is fine by me. All those special moves were overwhelming to break down. But here he has about 7 special moves. Most of these are reused from MK11 as well. Hat toss stays with an enhancement that I'm assuming blocks other projectiles. This toss can also be curved up and down. Buzzsaw stays but drops the complexities of 11. You can no longer precisely aim it. Enhancing it, it gives it the same unblockable effect. Concussion is a grab involving noogies. Enhanced Kung Lao winds up a punch and leaves the opponent with a concussion, giving merit to the move's name. Shaolin Shimmy is my favorite as it mimics Kung Tang, costing less inputs and having a bit more power. This move can easily be added to any basic input, meaning it's essential to a good combo. Amplified, it becomes a simple kick that kind of ruins the point of the move. Shaolin Spin is similar to Vortex as Kung Lao will still spin and cause damage. You can delay this move to fully entrap the opponent. Amplified, it has a little more range. These next few moves complement each other as Soaring Monk is a kick that sends the opponent in the air. From here, if enhanced, they are vulnerable to an aerial combo. While we're in the air, Dive Kick makes a return, but this time the enhancement is a slam that launches the opponent back into the air. Again, vulnerable to an aerial attack or juggle attacks. With the special moves out of the way, let's finish up this section with the actual combos. Combining light and heavy kicks and punches, Kung Lao has a variety of moves. These involve uppercuts, energy blasts, and flurries of kicks. That's about it, as the rest are small 2-pieces, simple leg sweeps, and aerial launches. But luckily with the inputs and proper timing, you can easily string together smooth moves that will leave your opponent begging for mercy. The grabs are mostly the same. Kung Lao will throw some haymakers and blast the enemy back. Kameo Kung Lao's grabs starts with the man teleporting out of a manhole like Mario, then hitting the stomachs with a flurry of punches before uppercutting them with the hat. Before I forget, these are the Kameo Lao's moves. His first move is a teleport that helps dodge attacks, similar to Kameo Scorpion Spear Toss. Apparently it works in the air, but I haven't pulled it off yet. The next move is a Shaolin Spin that has a very classic effect. The opponent is sent to the air, prime pickings for an aerial combo. The final ability is a ground buzzsaw that can be delayed to maximize confusion and damage. Compared to MK11, Kung Lao is lacking more, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's a bad thing. I can guarantee most players aren't going to be aiming their buzzsaw hats, so keeping it low key with hat tosses and aerial kicks is just fine by me. I'll mention his fatal blow real quick. Kameo Kung Lao begins with an unintentional movie reference. This is literally how Naitara dies in the movie. Anyway, main Kung Lao doesn't stop with the blade as he uppercuts, then punches the opponent down onto the still spinning blade, absolutely shattering the ribs. Honestly, a great fatal blow. With this yammer done, let's get into the funner, gorier stuff that will need to be censored just a tad bit. Not by too much, just a little bit.
Finish her.
With the versatility the hat can offer, this means Kung Lao has some variety in these finishers. Let's start with the Revenant Laowi Lao. 2 fatalities and a friendship are available. The first fatality begins with a simple decapitation that sends their hat up and their body back. While stumbling around, Kung Lao teleports behind them and bisects the body vertically. Since the head is about to hit the ground, he throws his hat to cut the dome off the skull. Quite the ending here. While not too gory, it does leave enough to entertain the average MK fan. The next fatality is a blender type move that makes piecework out of the target. First, the hat is converted into a floating buzzsaw as Kung Lao starts spinning the opponent.
Life could be a dream.
They have their bits hacked off before eventually getting split down the middle themselves. A really goofy one that nevertheless embodies Kung Lao. His friendship involves Lao playing around with a set of toy trains. While not the best train finisher, that goes to another character. This friendship is still some good silly fun. As per usual, most of the brutalities stem from special moves and certain combos. The first brutality involves the spirit stance that explodes the opponent, replacing them as Kung Lao's ancestor. The next brutality is a hat toss that ends as expected. This teleport grab allows Kung Lao to slam the opponent to the ground and turn them into a twitching art piece. Never knew he was one for the arts. Back at it with the teleports, the slash simply decapitates the opponent. Clean and simple. Amplified Shaolin drop turns Kung Lao into Captain America, but this time he fully commits and slices off the head. Seeing this, Tony got off light. The Z hat toss is entertaining as you see the hat fly in and out of the enemy, leaving them more confused and missing more limbs. The combo here ends with Kung Lao picking up the opponent like they were a baby and allowing the hat to slice off their head. He will then drop their corpse like a pile of rocks. The disrespect is just crazy. The next one is another teleport move involving the spin dash. This time the opponent's upper half explodes into 100 pieces. Kung Lao just loves dissing these guys. Each one of his grabs have a brutality like this one where you'll force the opponent down into the buzzsaw and splits the torso. His back grab is a lot of head trauma as Kung Lao punches their head over and over again.
Hey man, I think you got him.
You want what he's having?
To end it off, Kung Lao can still uppercut the opponent's head off. Definitely more moves here than some previous entries, but most end with a decapitation. Still, you take what you can get. The monk knows how to end a fight, but let's see how his newer self holds up. With 2 Kung Laos, that means 2 times as many fatal endings. Also 2 times the pride, but we'll handle that accordingly. The first fatality begins with the hat slicing various appendages, beginning with the shoulders, then the legs at the knees, and finally the head. To add insult to injury, the torso is cut right down the middle. This leaves your opponent a bloody pile on the ground. Surprisingly clean though, as none of the organs spill out. The next fatality is a riskier one as Kung Lao is used as a chopping block for the hat. This is not the ideal situation to be in. It ends with the severed sides being slammed into each other. Quite the gruesome one that honestly is the better one out of the 2 fatalities. Kameo Lao has 1 fatality, a simple bisection using the hat, quick and effective. His grab brutality is similar as the hat slash ends up splitting the enemy. Back to the playable Kung Lao, the uppercut stays as per usual, nothing will ever really change here. This grab brutality is goofy as the head is sliced off but then is sucked into the mini tornado just to plop into the ground. The audacity to pose like this is insane. This brutality caused by the buzzsaw just completely obliterates the opponent. No hands and definitely no blood in their system. The enhanced noogie move causes Kung Lao to slice their legs off and use their neck as a hat stand. He takes it back quickly though as you can't pose without the hat. Don't forget the hat. This aerial kick starts off simple enough with the head being kicked off, but Kung Lao then takes his hat off. To do what exactly? Well, he pulls out the decapitated head from the hat. It left me as shocked as Reptile here. The final brutality happens during the end of one of the combos. The spiritual blast evaporates most of the torso and its organs, leaving the opponent breathless. The only way to cope is to fall over. A shorter section because the special moves are less intricate than MK11, and honestly I'll take it. It's better than having 4 variations of the same move. But this leaves us with more of the minor stuff to take a look at when it comes to Kung Lao.
Your head's in the clouds.
My focus is on defending Earthrealm.
No, Liu Kang. It's on Katana.
Since 2 versions of Lung Kao exist in MK11, that means there are 2 unique voices that can be heard. First is his normal speech, which is heard when using human skins. In these versions, he is his usual brash self, very confident in his abilities and never backs down. He even gets rizzy with Scarlet.
I came to suck you dry.
Scarlet, we hardly know each other.
Shao Kahn references his death at the hands of the giant. Kung Lao responds in an unusual, serious manner.
You'll never get your hands around it.
This manner is replicated in his Revenant versions, which can be heard in mirror matches.
Time for a hat-to-hat combat. We all say that.
Revenant Kung Lao is pretty brutal and the voice shows it off. But other than these mirror matches, the only difference the greyskins add is some gruff to Kung Lao's voice. It's a nice detail that is replicated with other Revenant skins. With this, we can now move on to the new voice lines in MK1.
It's good you have learned your lesson.
I regret that Shujinko must pay for my mistake.
In this glorious new era, Kung Lao is mostly the same. The same overbearing ego with a touch of humility. He is more humble than his MK11 version, but that's like saying Sub-Zero and Frost have different shades of blue for their ice. Either way, Kung Lao is friendly to his allies and annoyed by his enemies. He still has the same riz against Naitara, especially when she mentions breeding.
You'll be one of the first we breed.
Of course.
This man is a certified freak! Since his hat is a recent invention, he has a unique dialogue against Sub-Zero. He thanks the Edgelord for inspiring the Razor Edge on his hat. Bi-Han is dismissive as usual. Kung Lao's best lines are against Raiden, as their friendship here is nice to see. Raiden claims the fight was as fair as possible, and Kung Lao would have been a good replacement champion. Kung Lao believes this and uses it to stroke his ego. Their mirror matches are also a nice touch, as it's funny to see them reference Madame Bo's special tea. She definitely was making some exotic walk. Either way, we can move on to what fans feel about their second favorite Shaolin.
Kung Lao wins. Kung Lao wins.
Kung Lao has always been in an interesting spot. While overshadowed by Liu Kang in some aspects, Kung Lao still holds his own as a character. He isn't just like Kang. This sort of underdog vibe attracts people to the monk, sort of like Luigi. Still, he has his group of loyalists. I personally know one under the name of Viper Blitzen. People love him despite the fact that he gets bullied in most installments. According to this post, Kung Lao has died 5 times since 2011. MK9 he gets his neck snapped, MK11 he gets thrown off the ship into the sea of blood. Though it doesn't necessarily kill him, it's still disrespectful. MK11 again, his revenant is killed. In the MK movie, he gets his soul sucked, but not in a good way. Then finally, in the Battle of the Realms animated movie, he is torn in half by his own hat. Fans of the Shaolin were outraged that he has been treated like a jobber for so long. But with the release of MK1, this treatment has been toned back. Kung Lao survived the story alongside his good friends. Hopefully this trend continues, but at this point, Lao lovers better pray Ed Boon is in a good mood. But enough yammer, let's get on to the real question here. Which egotistical monk with a silly hat is the best one? MK11's half zombie, half definition of hubris, or MK1's 1% less prideful Wuxi warrior? Personally, I'll go with MK11. He is a great homie to Liu Kang, and it's fun seeing their antics in the dedicated chapter. It's like a buddy cop movie, but except they're both monks that can kill you with one punch. While it makes sense why Raiden sort of replaces Liu Kang in the new timeline, it does make me miss the original Shaolin duo. MK1's version is still great, and I hope they don't kill him off in the next installment. Hopefully they give him a good story instead of just being a punching bag for Shao Kahn. Maybe this time he snaps Shao Kahn's neck. Who knows? Whatever they're gonna do, they better make it a good one. But with that, we have completed the comparison. The last comparison, and by extension long form for a bit, I'm gonna be out of state, so I can't really do anything. I'll go back to my Red Dead roots for the Scarface project, but I'll post more polls to know what the next MK video should be. Enjoy this Christmas break and stay safe out there. God bless and goodbye. Hey! Alright. Alright. The two former from... The closest thing is this blade that would get... The closest thing is this blade that would suck to get with. The closest thing is this blade. The closest thing is this blade that would Kung Lao relies more on his hands and straight doom 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 doom. Amplification seems to make the move unavoidable, and you can delay the move. Amplification seems to make the move avoidable. Amplification seems to make the move the amplification seems to make the move unavoidable, and you can always delay the